Hello, scholars. This is Mrs. Hall. I'm going to be introducing our DBQ project. In class, Mr. Cuevas and I already explained what to expect, but I just want to provide instructions for those of you who need to hear it again, or maybe you weren't able to join us online. So let's go over what it is that you're going to be working on. So step one, you are going to be reading 6 different documents and writing 6 different journal entries. So the prompt says, you will examine several documents and write 6 journal entries in the voice of a person who actually went on Mansa Musa's Hajj. Make sure that you read the background essay, and that's going to give you a few more details. There was also an Edpuzzle video to give you background, and for your super history enthusiasts, there are some other videos that you can watch as well. So your first step in this activity is to create a character. Mansa Musa was an emperor who went on a pilgrimage from the Empire of Mali all the way to Mecca. So he would have traveled thousands of miles with possibly up to 60,000 people on this journey there and back. And so your task is first to pick a character, and you're going to be writing from that perspective. So in the sense, this is very language artsy, right? You're taking a historical event and then you're making it your own and writing from that perspective. So first of all, you have various different characters whose perspective you can write from. First option, you have a Furba is a governor, somebody who would have overseen a particular territory on behalf of Mansa Musa. So Mansa Musa brings some of these leaders with him. Read the descriptions in more detail depending on which one you pick. A griot is a storyteller or was a historian. So a lot of Western African history we know through the voice of oral history. So it's not necessarily written history. So griots would have been really important in writing, retelling history through music, through drama, through poetry as well. Muslim scholar is another option that you have to choose from. A Muslim scholar would have been a well-educated person who would know how to read and write, most likely Arabic, and if not other languages as well. And this would have been someone who could give advice to Mansa Musa on the journey and also write some observations along the way. Also, in order to provide protection, you would definitely bring along soldiers. So Mansa Musa was believed to have 100,000 soldiers in his empire, and he would have brought a good size of those with him because along with the people who journeyed with him on this Hajj, he also brought along with him a lot of gold, a huge need for workers. So the slaves would have been the ones doing a lot of the hard and dirty work, caring for the animals, preparing food, setting up camp, because remember, they're traveling thousands of miles together, and you would definitely bring a lot of workers along. So depending on which character you choose, it's going to be key that you write your journal entries from their perspective. The way that you view things is going to be very different. If you are a griot or a Muslim scholar, or even a Furba, you are likely going to be very excited about this journey. This is a huge opportunity to travel with the king and to see places that you've never seen before. If you're a soldier or a slave, this is going to be, even a soldier would be exciting and a slave as well, but this is going to be a lot harder work for you. The workload is going to be a lot different for soldiers and slaves. So you're going to want to make sure that you write from that perspective as well, because it's going to be literally back-breaking work. And as in the description, it says here that some of the slaves that came on the trip were also in charge of not just caring for the animals, preparing food, but might have also been carrying some of the literal heavy load along the way as well. So you're moving from the Western Empire of Mali, which is a savanna with lots of green land, and suddenly traveling along the Sahara, which is desert land for hundreds of miles. So it's going to be a definite shift. So the first step that you are in charge of doing here is to give your traveler a name, pick an age at the time of travel. So, what would be an appropriate age for your particular role? Like 60 years old for a soldier would probably not be appropriate, right? Maybe you could have a 50-year-old FERBA governor, but you're not going to pick necessarily a 5-year-old slave. So think of what role that you are choosing and then pick an appropriate age for that. Here's where you're going to tell us your occupation. So, what role are you picking? What would have been your place of birth? You could have been born and raised in Mali, because for a lot of people in the past, you lived and stayed in the same place most of your life. And then marital status. Are you married? Are you single? If married, give your spouse a name as well. You may use the names that are provided for you here,